All right, we will go ahead and get started. I will do a roll call vote. Just a second. Okay. Um, I believe, let's see, Nicole is not here. Jason, Lindsay,
Here.
Jeremy,
Here.
Benji,
Here.
Chris.
Here.
Okay, we have a quorum. Um, I will go ahead and call the meeting to order at 6:03 p.m. and I will begin by reading our ethics statement. Conflict of interest reminder per NCGS 138A-15A. Board members are reminded that it is their duty to avoid conflicts of interest and the appearance of conflicts of interest in the handling of the matters before the board. Does any member of the board know of any conflict of interest or appearance of conflict of interest with regard to any matters that are to come before the board this evening? If so, please state them now. Hearing none, if you become aware of an apparent or an actual conflict of interest during the meeting, you should bring that to the matter of the chair, bring that matter to the attention of the chair, and abstain from any discussion or vote on the matter. We will begin with the approval of our December 2024 minutes. I will entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve.
We have a motion and a second. Do we have a second?
Did not see the minutes in the file. Maybe I was missing something, but I
They're
have not
in,
seen the minutes.
they're in the December 2024 folder.
Okay. Very good.
Do you want to give us, you want to take a few minutes to look at them, Benji?
Yeah, let me pull up that folder and I'll check it there.
Yeah, go ahead. Take your time. If anyone else needs to take a minute to do that as well. Just let me know when you're ready.
Second.
Michelle, I think you're muted.
Thank you. I will go ahead and call for a vote. Lindsay,
Aye.
Jeremy,
Aye.
Benji, Benji,
You're muted.
I can read his lips.
and Chris.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. And then next, see, we do not have public comment. That was next on the agenda. And guest discourse. I guess this would be the time now where we would hear from our auditor.
All right, great. Thanks for having me online this evening. So I'm here to present the 2024 audit. So I do have a short presentation to go through, and then I'll be glad to take any questions you may have. So I'll go ahead and try to share my screen. Sorry, just trying to get the presentation up.
Melissa, will you see if you can get the presentation for him to include in our meeting folder so I can just reference it by in the meeting minutes?
Yeah, it should already be in there, Lindsay. I put his
Oh, I see it. I see it. It's just labeled as 2024 news presentation.
Mhm.
Perfect. Thank you.
Right. Can everybody see the presentation now?
No, Jay, we see a list of files.
It's not letting me share the presentation.
Do you want me to do it?
No, what's not letting- yeah, you might have to. It's for some reason it's not letting me share anything.
Give me just a minute. Okay.
All right, there we go. All right. So, yes, I'm here to present the 2024 audit. So we'll go on the first slide, talking about the status. Fieldwork has been completed for the audit. The financial statements have been prepared. The audit has been approved, issued, and submitted to DPI. We are currently working on a 990 tax return. Just a reminder, this is an informational tax return. The school does not actually pay any taxes, but is required to be filed on an annual basis with the Internal Revenue Service. It's an important document. Most of the information does come from the audit, but it is public record. Anybody can look up any of your previously filed 990s. But I said, once we have that completed, we will send the draft to the school for review before we do file with the Internal Revenue Service. So that's the status for everything. I want to talk about a little about what we do as auditors for anybody that's new to the board. Kind of reiterate from previous presentations, but we don't just come in and start crunching numbers. We do some procedures up front. And the procedures up front really give us a roadmap on how we're going to conduct the audit on an annual basis. There's really three key phases of an audit. The first phase is the planning phase. That's where we get an update of any changes in internal controls. We test controls over two areas for 2024, or cash disbursements and over payroll. And we do all this because during the planning phase, we're using what we call a risk-based audit approach. We're assessing risk to all the significant financial reporting areas the school has. We're going to concentrate our audit efforts on the higher risk areas, but we do look at every significant financial reporting area the school does have. And we do this because as auditors, we have to perform audit procedures to obtain what we consider to be sufficient audit evidence to render an opinion on the financial statements. That's why you hire us, is to give an opinion on the financial statements. And that opinion concentrates on whether the financial statements are materially correct. And that's reasonable assurance. So that's kind of our roles and objectives, a little background on what we do as auditors. So looking at the 2024 results, I think you'll be happy with all of these. Scope and timing of the audit, we're on track. No issues there. The opinion I was just talking about, the reason you hire us. Once again, the school received an unmodified opinion on the financial statements. That's a clean audit opinion. Now, I was talking about internal controls. As previously noted, this is a two-part audit. We're looking at the numbers, but because of the state funding, there's also some compliance testing we have to do. And so it's, financial audit and a compliance audit. And so if we know any issues, whether it's regarding financial reporting or compliance with state compliance requirements, we're required to report those to you in the form of findings. I'm happy to report there were no findings for 2024. And the last thing I want to talk about with the results are audit adjustments. So, if during the course of our audit, we note that any numbers are incorrect and need to be corrected, in order for us to issue a clean opinion, we will make what we call auditor adjustments. I'm happy to report there were no adjustments for 2024. And that's obviously important for y'all as a board because you're making critical decisions throughout the year based on the numbers you're receiving. And the fact that, there are no audit adjustments means you can rely on those numbers throughout the year. So just kind of summarize, clean audit opinion, no findings, and no audit adjustments for 2024. So that's the results of 2024. In addition to the audit, we have to issue a separate letter on an annual basis. There's 4 main talking points with this. First of all, if there's any significant policy changes affecting the notes to the financial statements, we're required to let you know about those. There were none for 2024. One area we pay close attention to during the audit process are any numbers derived from estimates. And so the key estimates, I think there's one for the school, is the depreciable lives of its capital assets. Those appeared reasonable, no issues there. Happy to report we had no disagreements with management and no difficulties encountered whatsoever during the audit process. We appreciate everybody at the schools cooperation, full cooperation during the audit process that allowed us to complete the audit in a timely fashion. So with that, we'll move to the numbers for 2024. And like I said, these should not surprise you because we had no audit adjustments. Total support and revenue for the year, almost $9.6 million. Your total operating expenses, right between $8.7 and $8.8 million for the year. And so you had a profit of about $843,000 for the year. So an outstanding year financially for the school. Now, on the next slide, we'll look at a little bit more detail what made up these revenues and expenditures for the year. These are your top 5 revenue line items and top 5 expenditure line items. So once again, the state of North Carolina's appropriations are your top revenue line item between $6.7 and $6.8 million. Boards of Education funding, just below $1.9 million. Your federal funding was just below $700,000. Other miscellaneous revenues were about $160,000. And then contributions were about $57,000. Those made up almost all of your revenues for the year. Now, from the expenditure side, once again, salaries and wages are going to be your number 1 expense line item, almost $4.4 million for the year. Employee benefits, over $1.8 million, health insurance, retirement, things like that. Debt service. So this is both principal and interest payments, just below $800,000. Contracted student services, about $567,000. And then technology was just above $200,000. So those 5 line items made up 89% of your total expenditures for the year. Now, the next slide is a statement that's actually not in the audit. I always like to present this because I think it's an important part of the financials. Where's your cash flows going and coming from? And so this kind of summarizes cash flows for the year. And there's really 3 main buckets of cash flows: operating activities, investing activities, and financing activities. Financing activities for the year was negative $550,000. That was principal payments on debt. Cash flows from investing activities was negative $152,000. That was purchasing capital assets. So the school was reinvesting cash back into the school in the form of buying equipment, things like that. But most important is that top number. Are you able to generate positive cash flows from your mission or from instructing children? The answer for 2024 is an outstanding yes. Almost $1.2 million in positive cash flows from operating activities. Overall, your cash increased about $487,000 when compared to 2023. So another outstanding financial aspect of 2024. A nice profit and cash flows increase for the year. So moving on to some trend analysis. The next slide kind of presents the revenues and expenditures going over the last several years. This goes back to 2020. Red represents revenues, blue represents expenditures. You can kind of see the growth in your revenues. Back in 2020, it was right about $8 million mark. The last couple of years, you've been over $9 million in total revenues. But the important thing here is to see each of the last 5 years, your revenues have been greater than your expenditures. And so you've made a profit each of the last 5 years. So outstanding trend there for this school. And that can be reiterated on the next slide, which is fund balance. So fund balance is the school's net worth at a given point in time. When comparing the assets versus your liabilities, you see the trend here is your fund balance has really risen tremendously going back to 2015. Actually, in 2015 and 2016, your fund balance was negative. You had more liabilities than assets. And ever since then, it's taken off. Each of the last several years, it continues to go up. You went over the $4.7 million mark in 2024. So a really great trend analysis here kind of shows the growth of the school over the last decade. So tremendous efforts by the school management and the board in building the school's finances over the last decade. Now, kind of reiterated in the next couple of slides. The first one here is cash reserves. And what we're looking at here is your cash balances compared to your expenditures. How long can you continue operating? We generally recommend 3 to 6 months. For 2024, a slight uptick. You were about 169 days in cash reserves. So within that 3 to 6 month range, and it's going up each year since 2019. Back in 2019, it was about 50 days. So you've increased your cash reserve calculation from 50 days to about 170 days in the last several years. Another positive trend for the school. The next short-term liquidity risk ratio we like to run is working capital. And what we're looking at here is your current assets versus your current liabilities. Do you have enough current assets in place to pay down your current obligations? Obviously, the very minimum, you want this to be 1-to-1. We generally recommend this to be 3-to-1. For 2024, you were at 10-to-1. So you had 10 times more current assets than current obligations, about 3 times what we generally recommend. And that's gone up the last couple of years. So the short-term liquidity risk ratios show you that there's very minimum short-term liquidity risk. Obviously, for all the financial trends we've been showing you, the school is doing really well financially. And the final slide I want to go through before I take any questions, doesn't show up as well here as it did on my original presentation. Sorry about that. But this is how you spent your money in 2024. There's 5 main breakdowns by function required by government reporting or by DPI. The most important one there is that blue piece of the pie. That's instructional spending. You were at 79% for 2024. That's an outstanding number. Most schools, we work with about 70 charter schools throughout the state of North Carolina, and probably average toward instructional somewhere in the 65% range. And the orange there is system-wide support. That's administrative services, kind of overhead, about 10%. And then pink there is your debt services, which are 9%. And the small slither, which you can barely see, is the 2% where you're going toward capital outlay. But that's kind of how you spend your money. Like I said, in comparison to most schools, outstanding there. And one of the things we were working on that every school is going to be given here probably sometime in the early spring is we're doing a benchmark process where we're going to be presenting schools and kind of showing them how they stack up with the average school in North Carolina. So you can kind of see how you're doing compared to those, but be able to look out for that probably sometime in the March timeframe. But with that, I'll be glad to take any questions you have on the audit procedures, the results of the audit, or the numbers themselves. Just kind of reiterate, clean audit opinion, no findings, and obviously financially the school looks very well and trending in the right direction.
Thank you so much. Does anybody have any questions? That was really helpful. Lots of great information. going to wait and give everybody just a few minutes to look, and sometimes it takes a second to catch up. It's a lot of information.
Sure. I said after this presentation, for some reason, there's a question that comes up. Melissa does have my contact information. I'm always happy to jump on a call if anybody has questions afterwards. Sometimes I always think of something after I want to ask, and then like, oh, I should have asked it then. But yeah, I'm always available afterwards too.
Thank you. Okay, any questions? All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Sharp. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, and have a good rest of your meeting.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jay.
All right, we will now turn to our correspondence from our authorizer. Dr. Blackwell, do we have correspondence from our authorizer?
We do. In the shared drive, you will find a letter from the Public Schools of North Carolina signed by Senior Director Alex Charles. We had our federal monitoring that was conducted in December. They had a school visit on December 12th. They met with parents, teachers, and admin. And essentially, it was a federal monitoring of our title programs, Title 1, 2, and 4. And it is a every 3 to 4 year process for all charter schools and public schools too. And the letter will share with you all as
This
board
is where the road runs out. Sorry.
You're okay. It'll share with you that we were in compliance with all of the legal requirements, and there were no findings for our federal monitoring audit. Just for reference, when I came on board in 2020, we had an audit that school year, the 21-22 school year, in March, and we had 16 findings. So 4 years later, we had 0. So we are absolutely thrilled with the outcome of this monitoring visit. So good news.
Thank you so much. And next is our superintendent report.
I just have a couple of things for you this evening. First of all, thank you all for the treats for the holidays. Very, very grateful for that. We always love a well-stocked workroom. Thank you again to Mr. Sharp. He always does a great job making things make sense. And I'm really excited to continue to share some of that information that he shared with us with our commissioners when I go visit with them again. We had our lottery 2 weeks ago. It was 2 weeks ago. It all goes by so fast. And we had 50 openings. We have the highest re-enrollment numbers for the 25-26 school year that I have seen since I have been here. There's only a handful of students at this point who have not let us know what their intent is for next year. And because of that, we were only able to pull a very small number of names from our lottery. We had last year from the general lottery, we pulled 164 names total. This year from the general lottery, we pulled 50. So I'm very excited about that. We know that stabilization of the student body is critical to continuing to perform well. And it's looking really, really nice. We also had more applications for this school year than we did for last school year, which is also nice. Our wait list is robust and continuing to grow. We've already had more applications that come in. Again, it's January. A lot of things are going to happen between now and August in terms of numbers of applications and siblings and things like that. But we are really hopeful that we will be able to finally start to stabilize with some of those numbers. The next one is I'm going to skip around, actually. I just want to remind you all that February 10th at 6 o'clock, we have an in-person joint board meeting scheduled with the facilities board. It's going to be held at the Economic Development Office, Chris Johnson's office. He's kindly offered to allow us to meet there in his conference room at the airport. So just as a reminder that that's at 6 o'clock on February 10th, which is a Monday. Finally, Title IX. Kansas Supreme Court has struck down the Title IX 2024 regulations. We have been directed by our attorneys and by DPI to revert back to the 2020 Title IX regulations. So as of right now, our handbook is out of compliance because our handbook has the 2024 regulations in it. I need you all to please kindly approve of me adjusting the handbook to remove the 2024 regulations and replace it with the 2020 regulations. Can I please have your approval for that?
So moved.
A second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none, I will call for a roll vote. Lindsay,
Aye.
Jeremy,
Aye.
Benji,
Aye.
Chris,
Aye.
and I will vote aye as well. Motion carries.
What about Jason?
Oh, I'm sorry. I did not see that Jason was on. I apologize. Welcome, Jason. I'm sorry.
All good. Thank you.
I'll make sure I get you for next time.
Okay, thank you all for that. I will get that handbook updated and published out tomorrow with those updated Title IX regulations. And if anything else happens with that, I will certainly keep you all up to date. And just as a quick aside, because this was not on my report, I received a memo from Superintendent Green about 5:15 stating that they had received notice that the president has put a freeze on all federal funding. That includes all of our title funding. And so DPI is currently trying to figure out what specifically that freeze is for, how it's going to impact schools, if it will impact schools. And so I'm going to do some sense making around that when we finish our meeting tonight, and we'll update you as needed in the event we find out that those funds are actually going to be frozen indefinitely. So I will let you.
I will tell you, my husband follows this for his job because his office manages a lot of federally funded grants and contracts, and a federal judge just put a stay on that. So there should be a hearing coming up. I think it's going to be a quickly developing area.
Okay. Thank you so much for that. And that is all I have for my report this evening.
Thank you so much, Dr. Blackwell. And for our financial report.
In the folder, you will see both November and December financial reports. I'll just share out the most updated one for December, letting you know that our budgeted surplus has moved up a bit to almost $300,000. We remember it when we were budgeting back in March, we were around 7,000. So to see it close to 300 after all the funds have come in has been really, really nice. We're currently sitting at a deficit of $147,438.45, simply because, as you can see, our budgeted local revenue is a little over 2.1 million. Of that, we have only received 681,000. So they are going to continue to pay us out every month. So we're a little about 1.4 million behind, but that'll all get caught up each month, and it'll look a little bit better than it does right now. Even still, operating balance is a little over 3 million. Our contingency funds is a little over 900,000. Our retirement escrow is a little over 50,000. Petty cash is 200. That leaves us at almost $4 million right now in our account balances as of December 31st.
Dr. Blackwell, quick question. I know that Lindsay just said that there was a federal judge that had issued a stay on the freeze, but do we anticipate, or do you even know at this point, if there will be any impact on our revenues coming in, where we were anticipating something coming in the near future?
I'm not sure. When I see, when I look at our budget reports, you can see our federal revenue right now. It looks like there's about $400,000 outstanding, of which we've only received 70% of what we projected to receive. So it is possible that we could have some struggles with that, but we're going to watch it closely and hope for the best.
And you'll keep us updated.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Anything else for the financial report?
That's it for me.
Okay, moving on to our standing committee reports. Governance Committee, Nicole is not with us this evening, but I do know that they did not meet. Financial Oversight Committee, we've already done our financial report. Was there anything from our Financial Oversight Committee other than the financial report?
Melissa, help me out because I know there was, and I'm scrambling. I'm in Atlanta, y'all. Sorry, I'm at a conference and we had a bit of a snafu with rooms, trying to get people rooms. So, any help that I can get, Melissa, to jog my memory, I would appreciate.
Sure. There's a couple of things, Jason. I'm happy to help you. So a couple of months back, we talked about partnering with school operations specialist, and that was someone who works with charter schools to help them recover funds that they had not been paid out by county boards of education. And we had talked about that, I believe, in our in-person meeting in October, maybe. And we decided to just hold tight on it. And after meeting with the finance committee this month, we feel like we are ready to move forward. Did I get that? Is that pretty comprehensive, Jason?
Yeah,
Jeremy?
recommendation from us was to move forward with contracting with them. And that explanation on that, again, just in case folks don't remember, is that they go and look for the money. We are not charged any fee on that. We only get charged a percentage fee on the amount of money that is returned to us. If they don't find any, we don't pay any. And so, since it is a contract, do we need to make a motion now, or you want to do two for one?
And that's the Eagle Eye Consulting that's in the Finance Committee report.
No.
This is school operations.
School operations specialist.
Mm-hmm.
Do we need to do two separate motions for the two separate contracts, or do we want to go through both of them and then make one motion? Or maybe we're not. Do we only have one, Melissa? I'm sorry, I'm jumping to conclusions.
There's another one.
That's what I thought. I want to make sure I was remembering that right.
I think it would be
Jason, what's the
cleaner to do
contract
them
term?
separately.
Okay, separately it is. So Finance Committee would recommend that board for a motion to move forward with school operations specialist. Anybody want?
So moved.
Okay, thank you, Benji.
We have a motion.
Second.
We have a second. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Yeah, Jason, what is the contract terms? What is the period of time? Is that a 1-year contract, 2-year contract?
Oh, I don't know that there is there a length of time on that, Melissa? I don't think there is. I think they just do their registration fee, covers the fee, doesn't necessarily have, I think it's like a one-time thing where they go through and scan. They have their software that scans for monies that might be owed to us one time, I think. Well, it's been a minute since I looked at it, Benji. I'm sorry.
I was just thinking if there was something that was missing, it may be a reoccurring fee every year. I didn't know how long that period lasted. Did they receive that?
Yeah,
Right.
But remember, so there is no fee at all on it unless they find us money. So if they find us $1,000 is all we get back, they're going to take their percentage fee of that $1,000, and then they're done for whatever the term is. And that is the thing I'm not sure of. Melissa, did you see?
Yeah, I do. If you look on page 3, it says consulting services fees. And then it says the proposal is based on school operations specialists receiving a percentage of the additional funds received based on our calculations and findings. And that is for the 24-25 school year and the 3 years prior.
Okay.
So however long it takes them to go through all of those, financial audits, statements for each county that pays us, that's however long it takes them. Does that help?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
So then next year we will have to go back, just like we do on annual contracts, to talk about the 25-26 year, Benji.
Very good. Thank you.
No problem. So we had a motion and a second.
Any other questions or discussion? Did everybody find the copy of the contract in the Finance Committee report? Just want to make sure. There's a link to it in the financial.
In the agenda.
Yes, I did.
Okay. All right. No further discussion? I will go ahead and call a roll vote. Jason,
Aye.
Lindsay,
Aye.
Jeremy,
Aye.
Benji,
Aye.
Chris.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. And Jason, I called you first this time.
Thanks, Michelle.
You're welcome.
All right, and then Melissa, the other one is the Charter School Partners proposal, correct?
Yes, that's right.
All right, so then in your, in that same agenda, you will find a proposal for Charter Success Partners. Sorry, I think I said that wrong. And this kind of takes care of, help make sure I get this one right too. This really takes care of all of our monthly reporting, operating from a finance standpoint. And it is a much, they're coming across as a much more upfront and reliable option to what we have at this moment.
Yes,
So,
that
Finance,
is correct.
yeah, Finance Committee reviewed and recommended that we move forward with this as well for approval to the board.
Essentially, this is going to replace Acadia Now Prestige for their financial services.
I was going to let you say that.
Thank you for that. And they are a more affordable option as well.
Yes.
Okay, do we have a motion?
I move to enter into the agreement with the Charter Success Partners as presented.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none, I will go ahead and call for a vote. Jason,
Aye.
Lindsay,
Aye.
Jeremy, Benji,
Aye.
Chris.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. Anything else from the Financial Committee?
That I think was was there one more? No, that was it.
There's one
No,
more.
that was it.
There's one more. This one's fun.
Oh, this is the good one. Yeah, this is
Yes.
this is good. So we also the substitute longevity bonus, right?
Oh, yeah. Forgot about that one. Yeah, that's a
There
good
we go. Thank you, Jeremy, making me feel better.
I just listened during those meetings.
So the Dr. Blackwell brought to our attention kind of, and Ms. Heifel brought to our attention we've got some really dedicated folks on from a substitute perspective. They've been with us for a long time, and they've really they've carried a big weight for us in tight times. So the proposal was brought forward to kind of make sure we put in some longevity pay for our dedicated substitutes as well. You will find that in the agenda, and would entertain questions on that, but it was a recommendation from the Finance Committee to approve that as well.
Okay, so on the proposal, like where's it 3+ years, that have the days, and then there's that next number an amount, like a dollar sign?
Yes, Mr. Kaiser, that 500, 250, 100, that next column over.
Yes, okay.
Yes, sir.
And the number of days that is listed there, 61 plus, 31 to 60, 50 to 30 days, is that annually?
It is.
Okay.
And so what are the numbers on this, on the other two columns? The data?
Essentially, those are Ms. Heichel's numbers on how she got to the middle column.
Okay.
That's the quickest way to explain that, but Jason, you probably can do better than me.
No, because if you remember, I struggled with figuring out how she got to those as well. I thought you might be able to do that better than I. Jeremy, can you enlighten us?
No, this is a lot better breakdown than what we originally talked about, because the one we originally talked about was 100%, and then you counted, you had to figure out how many days you worked, and there's a percentage. So this is a lot better, easier breakdown than what we talked about. So I like this a lot.
And
The way I can look at it is that fourth column is for part-time, like half days, and then the next column is for full days or something in that space. Because if you look, those numbers just double as they move over.
Right.
so would they receive this longevity when at the end of the days?
They would receive it at the end of June.
Okay. Okay.
I move to implement the sub PT longevity proposal as presented.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I can't second, right?
Yeah, we know.
Yeah, no. So it's either Lindsay or Mr. Kaiser.
I'll
Okay.
second.
Okay. Any further discussion?
And this will be effective June of 2025 based on this current school year, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Very
Thank you.
Okay, I will go ahead and call for a vote. Jason,
Aye.
Lindsay,
Aye.
Jeremy,
All right.
Benji,
Aye.
Chris.
All right.
Okay, motion carries. Anything else from Finance Committee?
No, I promise that's it this time.
Lots of good stuff. Okay, moving on. Risk Management Committee. Benji.
Risk management did not meet.
All right. Facility.
Just nothing to report except for that joint meeting on the 10th.
Okay. And strategic planning, Benji, we did not meet, obviously, but
No, that one will not be needed for a while.
okay. All right. Is there any unfinished business? Okay, none. And I do not believe we have any new business. We do not have any self-assessment. I will entertain a motion to go into closed session for personnel discussion.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All right, I will go ahead and call for a vote. Jason,
Aye.
Lindsay,
Aye.
Jeremy,
All right.
Benji,
Aye.
Chris.
All right.
Motion carries. I will see everyone in closed session.